This is what you see when you open Matlab. Depending on your system, might look a little different, but it should basically look like this. So I have these various drop-down menus at the top, and then I have these three different segments of the screen: the current folder, the command window in the middle, and the workspace on the right. And the one that's going to be the most important for us is the command window. So I'm going to rearrange things a little bit and get the command window to be more prominent. So I'm just going to click and drag on the workspace. And you can see that various areas get highlighted in blue for options of where I can put it. Okay, the place where I want to put it is down here on the bottom of the left-hand column. Okay, so now the command window just got about 30% wider, which I like. So command window is where you perform commands in Matlab. So for example, if I do 2 plus 3, okay, then I get that that's equal to 5. Or if I do something more complicated, like say I do pi to the 10th, then I get this answer, which is in scientific notation. So the way you should read this is pi to the 10th is approximately 9.36 times 10 to the 4th power, so times 10,000. And in your MATLAB, it might not look like this. It might look much more truncated, might look like 9.3648 without this extra stuff, times 10 to the 4th. And so the way you can change back and forth between those two is with the command format. So I'm going to type in format short, and then I'm going to evaluate the exact same command again. And there's a nice shortcut that exists in lots of computer software for getting previous commands back. I hit the up arrow. Okay, I hit the up arrow, and then I can see some previous commands that I've done, including some that I did before I started this video. And if I just go up to the one I want, pi to the 10th, and hit return, then you can see that it's a shorter version. So for me, I find it more comfortable to be in the longer version, so I do format long. Okay, now if I do pi to the 10th again, it's back looking like it looked at the beginning. And if you ever want to get help on some command, so this format, it's some built-in command in MATLAB, and if you want to get help on something like that, you just type in help, followed by format. And then I get all this different documentation. So for now, if there's nothing in particular we want to know, it's not really worth trying to read all this. But lots of times there might be some specific functionality you want, and then you can look through this documentation about the format command to try to find that functionality. So now I have all this stuff in the command window that maybe I want to get rid of. And the way you get rid of it is with a command called CLC. Okay, so what CLC does after I hit return is it's going to clear the screen. Okay, so now I have a fresh screen and I can kind of start from scratch. And one important thing to know is that that doesn't clear any variables that we've defined. So right now, over in the workspace, which we haven't talked about yet, I see one variable name called ANS, stands for answer, and that's like the most recent unassigned variable, or the most recent unassigned output that MATLAB has come up with. So if I do 3 times 10, okay, then suddenly 30 shows up as ANS. If I do A equals 7 times 5, okay, that didn't change ANS because I already told it a name to assign to the output. So it found the output 35 and it assigned it to the variable name A. And in one of the next videos, we're going to talk a lot more carefully about how we define variables in MATLAB and how to work with them. But just in general, one thing to get familiar with right away is that there's an asymmetry to how we define variables. We always put the variable name on the left, and we always put the value of that variable on the right. So if I were to type B equals A, what that does is it takes the value that's associated to A and stores it in B. Okay, if I try to do B equals C, I get an error. It looks exactly the same as this top one. The syntax is exactly the same, but the big difference is that A was defined when I typed this up here, whereas C is not defined. If I want to clear all the variables that have been defined, I can just type in the word clear. And now if I type b equals a again, this command that worked up here, now I'm going to get an error. And neither b nor a is defined. The fact that b is not defined doesn't cause a problem, but the fact that the one on the right-hand side is not defined, that's what causes a problem. So I typed in CLC to get a fresh screen. Let me show you something else that's useful for getting help in Matlab. It's called the look for command. So say I want to know if a number is prime. Say I want to know how about is 213 prime. Okay, it says, oh, that didn't work. Do I mean prime's 213? Maybe I mean that. Let's try it. Well, this has some good information in it, but doesn't mean what I wanted. I wanted to know yes or no, is 213 a prime number? And so this look for that I mentioned a second ago, that's a good way if I know that I want some built-in function that's related to prime numbers, but I don't know exactly what the name of it is. So I'm going to type in look for prime. So what that does is it gives me different built-in functions. There are these things here on the left that involve the word prime somewhere in their documentation. So I can either get prime factors. So this is telling me that 3 times 71 is 213. And if I wanted to be more sure how that worked, I could type in help factor. So the one I really want is this is prime. Okay, so if I type is prime 213, I get a 0 here. And 0 is Matlab's way of saying false. 213 is not prime. Okay, just to check, let's do is prime 7. So this should be true because 7 is a prime number. And yep, 1 is Matlab's way of saying true.